in the NBA. The conversation is about the conversation. After the win last night, LeBron was asked about Anthony Edwards, who was thrown out, and Edwards' statement at the All-Star game that he isn't striving to become the face of the league. This was LeBron's fascinating response.
And I already said he don't want it.
I know.
Yeah, and say he ain't trying to deal with that. And, I mean, Channing Frye said it the other day, too, like, I mean, it's unfortunate, but, like, I don't know, why do you want to be the face of a league when all the people that, you know, that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis on everybody? I mean, that responsibility, it's just weird. It's weird energy.
Fascinating. So put your feet up, because obviously there's a lot to respond to here. And look, that's not the first time we've heard that from LeBron. It's not the first time we've heard it from a big-name NBA personality this year or in recent years. I have a variety of thoughts myself, but I'll start by getting everyone else in here. Wendy, you're there. You're more than almost anyone I know. You're at games pretty much every single night. You're interacting with players. You're hearing and are in the middle of so much of the conversation. Is LeBron right?
Well, first off, Anthony Edwards does want to be the face of the league. That's why he's got Sprite and Adidas commercials. The reason he said that at the All-Star game is he's frustrated by the way he gets called for technicals and gets fined. I just wanted to point that out. I do think LeBron, on the basis level, is correct. I do think that we are out of balance in the way we look at the NBA, where we don't celebrate the greatness as much as we should, that there's more focused on, negativity. Now, when I go across the world, Greeny, and I'm in Abu Dhabi or I'm in Manila or I am in Shanghai, when people come up to me, they want to talk about who's better, LeBron or Jordan. Like, that is something that engages fans. There is a reason why everybody leans into that. But I also think that, and I mean, when I say we, I'm not just talking about the media. I think the league itself doesn't celebrate how great the league is every single night. Just this week, Monday, Zach LaVine had a 42-point game. Tuesday, we saw a 151-148 game. Wednesday, Tyrese Halliburton was awesome. He's having one of the best stretches in the NBA. Last night, we have Steph and LeBron. We haven't even gotten to the other games. Zion had his first ever triple-double. You haven't even heard it yet. Every single night in the NBA, the league is absolutely awesome. And yet, there is actually a prevailing belief that the league is in a bad place. This is absolutely preposterous. As somebody who's done this every single day for 22 years, the league has never been better. It's not even in question, but we don't celebrate it enough. I'm not saying you get rid of the stuff about negativity and the arguments, but I do think it is out of balance. I wouldn't agree with everything LeBron said, but on his baseline level, he does have a point.
See, I've said many times, and Hembo and I had it in our book, LeBron is the first immortal of the social media era. And so he's living in a world that none of the others lived in. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, all the others, even Kobe Bryant, for the most part in his career, didn't live in the world that we live in today, where conversation is so much more pervasive, and it is impossible to ignore whether you want to or not. Rudy, you were there. I mean, you were in the league up until last year, so you were as close to this as you can be, and you've been there. You played a long time, so you've seen the evolution of it. When you hear LeBron say things like, and I'll clean up his language for him a little bit here for the purposes of the show, like, everyone just dumps on us. Everyone is just negative all the time. Do you believe that is what NBA players think?
I do. I think for the most part, NBA players are used to having to prove themselves and continue to have to prove themselves, not only to their teammates, to their coaches, but also to the public. You know, we've been, public figures for so long, especially LeBron, for him to be able to do this and keep up the level he does for so long, like you said, social media, fans, everything. He just continues to rise his level. And I mean, it just seems like he's just tired of it. I mean, it was in the context of Anthony Edwards,
right.
but this is a competitive league. Everybody wants to see how you respond to certain things, and whether that's media or whatever. Like, if there's something that we bring up, we want to see what you're going to do the next night.
Let me ask the question more directly to you. Do you believe the coverage of the NBA, however you want to define that, is too negative, is unfairly negative, and the players are portrayed unfairly?
At times, yes. Yes. I mean, as great as LeBron is, we're still comparing him to other people. Why not just celebrate him? LeBron James is a great player. Michael Jordan was a great player, two different eras. They never played against each other, but yet we're comparing them to each other. let's just have two great players.
To some degree, though, that is sort of the nature of sports, right? It is competition. We compete, who wins, who's better, who's that, and I don't think that's particularly harmful. If I had to guess, and I'm not trying to put myself in LeBron James' head, I don't think that what upsets him is when people compare him to Michael Jordan. No. I think what he is upset by and others are upset by is the complaining on the part of a lot of fans and a lot of media about load management, about the style of play today, about all the threes. We talked about it this morning that are shot in the NBA, what the game looks like on a day-in, day-out basis. I think there is a lot of negativity that they hear relative to those things. I believe, and again, I'm not going to try and speak for LeBron James, I think that's what he's referring to. Joe, what do you think?
I think it's more than fair for the players to be fed up with this because there's a lot of heat, right? But think about what's going on. We complain about load management. We call out the players and not playing hard enough. Fair. Kevin Durant comes out and says there's too much negativity. LeBron says there's too much negativity. Fair. But then let's flip it around. Hey, Anthony Edwards, you're the face of the NBA. Positivity. I don't want that. Hey, LeBron, what about Anthony Edwards as face of the NBA? I can see why he doesn't want that. Everything's negative. So when even people try to be positive and put something nice on it, there's a problem. A lot of this, and this is going to be a unique comparison, but a lot of this sport is like WWE in that there's two components. There's the in-ring match, and then there's the microphone work, all right? The NBA can draw a lot of attention, not just for what it does on the court, but for what happens off the court. And they've had a couple issues with how they've branded some things, load management in particular, which has led the fans to get upset. Because in this country, more than anything else, we love football. So we compare everything to football. And when we see those guys bleeding on the field, and then we immediately come off the Super Bowl and watch the NBA, and we get a big night, but two stars are taking the night off, that gets people angry. It's fair that the guys need a night off. It absolutely is. But it's also fair for the fans to get upset about all of this because they're put in a situation where they're coming off their favorite sport of all time, and the two just don't line up.
Windman, here's the way I view this, because you and I have both been around this a really long time. These things tend to go in ebbs and flows. It wasn't that long ago that it was very fashionable to dump on the National Football League. Now the NFL is riding as high as anything has ever ridden. I remember maybe 10 years ago, it was very fashionable to criticize them. There was everything in the world that they did. Every move they made, it felt like was criticized. Baseball has been through some of that. I believe that this is sort of a cyclical thing. Right now, it is very fashionable to dump on the NBA. I don't know that that means that 5 years from now, the pendulum will not swing completely in the opposite direction. I suppose we'll have to wait and see. Wendy, I'll give you the final word.
Absolutely, I agree with that. But I also do think LeBron is angry about, or upset about the Jordan comparisons. I do think he's tired of exactly that.
Okay, but then I would push back like crazy on that. That is the nature of sports conversation, right? That's what we talk about. Who is better? What's the greatest championship team? All the rest of that. It's a legitimate, fun, and at the end of the day, not particularly meaningful conversation.
Yes.
Go ahead, Wendy. Sorry.
I agree, and that's why I am very careful when I say it exactly this way. Out of balance is what the issue is, out of balance. And that is why I also will point out LeBron James is a billionaire. So don't go to bed tonight with him in your prayers that he's not being taken care of. He's a billionaire because of this. So I mean, it's just, but I do think all of us could balance it better.
Fair enough. That's well said. We'll leave it there. Obviously, it's a